Hey guys, Clyde here. I am taking out a battleship. What's that you say? Clyde doesn't play battleships. No, it's true. I very typically do not play battleships, but I recently got the Georgia. I'm late to the party. Everybody who wanted a Georgia already had a Georgia, but I recently got a Georgia, and I'm telling you, I have not had a bad game in this thing yet. I haven't had all great games, but every game has been at least good. The Georgia is a Tier 9 US battleship. It is a premium ship. You can get it for coal. In fact, I just did it. I used my December coupon, so in December I'll get another one. Pretty excited about that. I think it cost me about 180,000 coal after the coupon, a little bit less than that. What makes the Georgia special is that it is fast. It has a speed booster, or a turbo booster as I like to call it, that makes the ship go fast. And in fact, I used my other coupon for upgrade modules in order to get the longer lasting speed booster. So when I hit the U button on this thing, it's something over 4 minutes that it can run at high speed. For a US battleship, she's pretty quick anyway, but I think she cruises at about 40 knots in a straight line once you get the turbo booster going, which is really fast. I like the idea of weird ships that can kind of do something that's kind of wonky. And so a US battleship that can, blast around at 40 knots is pretty much solidly in that weird category. At Tier 9, it's got just 6 barrels. It's got 6 guns for its main battery, which is a little bit low for a lot of US battleships. And so to kind of compensate for that, there's an upgrade module that I purchased for it that speeds up the reload so that I can shoot the guns every 22.9 seconds. I don't know if that's the most optimized thing, but my logic for it was, hey, whenever I pull the trigger on this thing, I only get to send 6 shells downrange, so I should be pulling the trigger as often as possible. That right there, that salvo of HE that I just launched, is I think the first salvo I ever fired in the Georgia, and I tagged that cruiser with it. That's the reason it was HE, basically. It was because I hadn't ever shot the guns before, and whenever you first log in a brand new boat, it's firing high explosive shells instead of armor piercing. I just hit my turbo booster, 4 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock of high-speed shenanigans. I don't really know exactly the best way to employ the Georgia. I see a lot of people using it as a flanker. And so this is kind of me really getting a shakedown cruise and finding out what it is that I think this boat does. I don't have an optimized captain on it for this. I think it's my Iowa captain because I'm still working on the Iowa. Not yet the proud owner of a Montana, but hopefully sometime soon. So running around with I do have a 19-point captain, but he's not optimized for a secondary build. So looking at this battle, me and the Drake decided to come over and back up the west side of the map. We had fewer ships over here to start with, just 4 of them. The Drake is taking a much more cautious approach. That makes a lot of sense. That thing has an enormous citadel that is high above the water line. The Drake, I think, is a tough ship to play well. For me, though, I'm trying to find out just how fast this old girl can go. And so I've got it going pretty quickly. I'm diving into these islands, and I see that I've got, a battleship over here at Tirpitz with me. I've got a cruiser behind me and a destroyer backing me up. The Lo Yang is probably a big threat to me over here. Now, the Lo Yang is a premium Tier 8 Pan-Asian destroyer, so it doesn't run deep water torps, but it's extremely low detectability. It has acoustics, and it has the ability to basically torpedo, from sub 6 kilometers undetected. So I got to be careful about that. I do have a good secondary armament that can kind of, teach him a lesson if he gets a little too sassy. For the most part, I don't want to be surprised by the Lo Yang. So around now, I get a little bit cautious and I turn around because I thought I was going to have a little bit more support from my Tirpitz and from my cruiser and my destroyer, but I don't really. I'm the tip of the spear here. So I spin it around using my high speed to get away. an enemy Georgia pops out and starts shooting at me, so you get Georgia on Georgia action. I throw a couple of AP shells his direction and get my secondaries working on him. I do about 12,000 in that first in that salvo. I don't know how I did it, first match out in this boat, but I've already got 40,000 damage on the clock. So at this point, a few minutes into my first game with the Georgia, 6 minutes in, I am pretty well and truly impressed. The guns are big. They're over 400 millimeters, and I am able to use them to great effect to just slap around these enemy ships that are in my shooting range. So I've done a U-turn here. I'm sailing around, hopefully trying to get a few shots off on my enemies as I reposition. And the cool thing about the Georgia is it can use that high speed to reposition. So that speed that the Georgia has is an excellent tool for correcting a mistake that you might make, or for capitalizing on a mistake that an enemy ship or enemy ships might make. You can use that speed to get out of a dangerous scenario, or you can find a situation where if I were just a little bit further ahead, I could triangulate my fire with an ally and we could really dish it up on some people. So, there's a couple of different ways to think about using that speed that the Georgia has. And they're both beneficial. The best one is when you can stop making mistakes that require you to use that speed to get out of dangerous situations. And when you can start using it to apply force against the enemy to drive towards those victories or those wins. And it's kind of the same story with hull repair. When ships have hull repairs, they're pretty forgiving to players who maybe made a mistake. Sometimes you don't make a mistake and you just get outplayed by the enemy. That is a very real thing. And so you got to watch out for those kinds of things. But honestly, a lot of time, if you're looking at the minimap, if you're paying attention to the environment around you, getting caught out by the enemy is usually your own fault for not paying attention to situational awareness and just kind of keeping tabs on where enemy ships are located. We're in a tight spot here where we're outnumbered in the west, our Worcester's gone down in the east, and we have 3 ships in the middle that need to get into position fast. So now I've got 61,000 damage. I am just slapping folks, and I'm lucky that there's a bunch of cruisers around here that are kind of lower on armor, and I'm able to thump them. That's a big hit on the Donskoy. I haven't really had an opportunity to put my secondaries to good effect, and my captain isn't fully spec'd out for secondaries anyway. There's the Lo Yang. He has been pacing me, hiding in the distance, using smoke, using his low detect to stay safe. This isn't going to be probably the best demonstration of what the secondaries can do for you. If you look at the minimap, I'm in kind of a bad spot. I've got a destroyer who's to my, to my left. I've got the cruiser and the turpets that's to my right, and the enemy ships are arrayed in a horseshoe shape. That means all of those guys can take shots at me, and more or less, I am the biggest, dopiest looking target to all of them, which means, ooh, there's another citadel. Which means that they'd be a fool not to choose me. And here come the Lo Yang torps. I'm just in a bad way. I'm on fire. I'm flooding. I held my repair for those torpedoes because I knew the fire wasn't going to be as dangerous to me as the flood, which not only causes damage over time, but also slows my ship down so that I'm an easier target for my enemies. So I flipped my U-turn. I've got a turbo booster that I just activated about 30 seconds ago, and I'm using that to redeploy and get away from being in that dangerous horseshoe situation. We talked about that in the second Lo Yang video about crossing the T. This is another example of that same concept. So I am trying to get some shells put on that North Carolina. My ally gets them first. That's okay with me. I'm looking for a win. I don't need to be everybody's hero. So at this point, I am no longer the tip of the spear, but I'm still getting some shells splashing all around my ship. I am detected. You can see that I'm targeted by one ship, and that Dmitry Donskoy is, he's tired of my sass. I citadeled him at least one time, maybe twice, for 17,000 damage, and he's trying to get some of that damage back. So he started me on fire. My damage control is not back for 20-30 seconds, so I'm gonna have to let some of that burn. I do have a hull repair module. There it is. I just activated it. That's gonna keep me growing those hit points back. Now, the hull repair will repair light damage. It won't repair heavy damage that you've taken. So fire damage is considered light damage. So it's great for getting back the hit points that Dunsquay took away from me, or at least a percentage of them. So I'm kind of trying to come back over here to rejoin with my friend here in the Buffalo. He is in a dangerous spot, and you know, he's kind of alone facing down 2 or 3 ships, and I don't want him to be on his own. On the other side of the map, we seem to have at least something of an advantage, that Cleveland is kind of out of position to support the rest of their the ships over there. And there we go. We just took out the Stalingrad, and so it seems like we're doing okay over there. So I want to apply my force on the west side of the map. So I've sailed over here to back up my Buffalo. Missed the Georgia. So it's Georgia v. Georgia as I sail back in. This scene looks familiar because we were just here a few minutes ago, although the situation has changed quite a bit. My team has 4 ships, their team has 6 ships, and it could not be more important that I preserve my hit points while dishing up damage taken away theirs. It's very difficult sometimes to protect your hit points, and a lot of players will overextend and lean in. I'm guilty of it myself, but here we go. I'm going in on this Georgia. About this time, I have committed to fighting this guy to the death. You know, I'm hoping, my intent here is to flap him and then use that island as a shield to stay safe. But look who shows up. The Lo Yang shows up. And I am definitely afraid that torpedoes are coming at me right now. So what you want to do when you see a destroyer do that, that's definitely a torp run as long as he was reloaded. Oh no, I don't do what I think I should do here. I turned so I would be broadside to those torpedoes. I must have thought that I would have seen them by now. And oh boy, I didn't. There they are, there's the torpedoes. And I take one in the backside. The Georgia goes down, my friend in the Tirpitz dumps him, and I bump into his hull. This is terrible, except that the Lo Yang just dumped all their torps, so I know they can't torp me again right away, because I know that ship does not have a rapid torpedo reload booster. By the way, let that be an advertisement, if you will. Boom, gotcha, Lo Yang. Let that be an advertisement that says, know the capabilities of the ships that you're fighting. You know, even if you don't like to play all the ships in the game, play a few more than you normally would like, because you're going to learn their attributes and their skills, and you're going to learn how they can be used against you. Even if you don't play them very much, it's kind of helpful sometimes to know that. Now the Benson is low. I have pretty high confidence that my Tirpitz and my gearing will finish him off. So I start putting my guns on the Donskoy. He and I have had a beef this whole match. He's been burning me. I've been citadeling him. And I hit him for about 4,700 there. I was kind of like, I ran into that ship's hull, the Georgia's hull, after it sank. I ran into the island, but this Donskoy knows he's got me dead to rights. He knows I don't reload very fast, and he's got me on fire, and boy, I should have hit that repair faster. I have 1,000 hit points. This Hadouken! Perfect! Ooh, big hits. This has to be my death though, right? Wrong. If he had started another fire, my hull repair, or my damage control was running, so I would have stopped it. But luckily, he only did about 600 damage to my ship. Take a look at the ship count. In the last few minutes, we dumped 4 of them, and they have killed none of us. But they came so close to killing me. This was such a wacky match. I did not think we were going to win. Now I see a Cleveland over there. Cleveland is like Georgia food, right? This is a light cruiser. It's got short-range guns. I should be able to shoot at him while I'm staying safe. I don't know where the other enemy cruiser is. I believe they have a Seattle, but it's also a light cruiser. It's also very short-range. So I put some shots out on that Cleveland. I'm feeling a little bit more confident now that we're going to walk away with the win. And so I don't mind leaning in, although I do know that if I take any more hits, I'm basically done for. So I do get 1 hit on the Cleveland there for 3,000. You know, not very, he's very much kind of on the edge of my range, I think, at this point. And again, I only get 6 shots per salvo. You know, it's not like a 9-shot per salvo battleship like a lot of the upper tier ones are. So I don't have a lot of confidence that I'm going to land this shot. But I do have a spotter plane, which I often forget to use. In this case, I remembered, so I popped up the spotter plane, and it gives you this weird perspective. I always feel like it's a little bit weird. It's a different aiming skill, but it is helpful sometimes. So I chucked out another salvo of shots. Boy, am I glad I put that reload module on there that makes my shells reload faster. And is this Cleveland? Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Game-winning shot with 391 hit points from across the world. Thanks, guys, for watching. My name's Clyde. I hope you get out there and have a great battle in whatever ship you're playing right now. Please sail with friends, take care of each other, and we will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.